من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين بهم نتولى ومن أعدائهم نتبرأ إلى الله اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. We talked about the 23rd dua of Imam Sajjad alayhi salatu wassalam in Sahifa Sajjadiyya. You've got the English version of it. It's called the Psalms of Islam, and you have it online in various languages, and this is dua number 23. That Imam, he talks about and teaches us how we should be praying and asking the Almighty Allah for the well-being, and in all these different dimensions of what we should be asking the Almighty have been addressed in this beautiful dua, where he says that وَأَلْبِسْنِي عَافِيَتَكَ. Albisni means Allah clothe me with your well-being, and then dignify me, wrap me, glorify me with your well-being, fortify me through your well-being, honor me through your well-being, and make me rich and free me from need, that is through well-being, and then have mercy on me, donate me via well-being, and all these different angles have been mentioned. And then Imam says, this well-being that I'm asking you for, it is not only for this world. Says, لا تفرق بيني وبين عافيتك. Do not separate me from your well-being, neither here nor there. That is, even in the Akhirah, that Afiyat is required. And one of the mustahab du'as that you have when you are performing prayers, especially in the last sajda, there you say, Ya wali al-afiyah, as'aluka al-afiyah, afiyat ad-deen wad-dunya wal-akhirah. That is, God, I want afiyah, well-being. And then I want this well-being in my deen, in my religion, in my dunya, and in my akhirah. And the same thing we find in this beautiful dua of Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. And then he says, وَعَافِنِي عَافِيَةً كَافِيَةً شَافِيَةً عَالِيَةً نَامِيَةً. And Allah, you bless me with an afiyah which is sufficient, which is well, which is healing, which is sublime, which is growing. And then an afiyah, a well-being that gives birth to well-being as well. And that is in this dunya and akhirah, and the hereafter. Now, all of the beautiful angles and dimensions of this afiyah were mentioned by the Imam in this glorious dua, and make it a habit to recite it at least once in your prayers, some of your prayers, or once in a while. The adab that has been taught to us, that some of our prayers, they should be exclusive, meaning that we have to invest in those prayers and on and off have different du'as recited when it comes to your prayers. Now in riwayat, when we see there are numerous ahadith. One of them is from Amir al-Mu'mineen. He says that there is no the sweetest blessing that Allah has given to you is afiyah. And there isn't any attire more beautiful than afiyah. And afiyah ni'matun ya'jizu shukra anha. It is one of those blessings one can never thank the Almighty for that blessing. So afiyah, well-being, is important. Or for example, there is another dua in Sahifa Sajjadiyya. Now this is dua number 7, I believe. There in this dua number 7, again, different angles of well-being have been mentioned by the Imam alayhi salam, and the dua starts as such: Ya man tuhallu bihi uqadul makarih wa ma yafthau bihi haddu shada'id wa ya man yultamasu minhu al-makhraju ila rawhil faraj. Now, one of the things that these du'as they teach us, it is tawakkul in the Almighty Allah. That we have to have that staunch faith in Him, that whatever is happening, it is via Him, through Him. He is the source. And we have to submit to everything. And that is the lesson that we get from Karbala, that you have to submit. Now, this Afiyat that we talked about in this dua and the previous session as well. Now, there are various asbab and channels and means that are made by the Almighty, broken by the Almighty. So, all of these channels He makes, channels He breaks, means He makes, means He breaks. There is this dua again when you, it's I think the taqibat of the Isha prayers. There says that asbab you make and asbab you break. Now when you look into this little sentence and also the ayat of Quran, we see that how beautiful Allah He makes and He breaks. He puts things together, He joins the dots, and then if it was otherwise, it wouldn't have been that beautiful that He has made. For example, from the Holy Quran, Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, he had 10 brothers. And one day when these brothers, they brought him by the well to kill him or to ditch him in that well, all of a sudden he starts laughing. The brothers, they say that you are laughing. We thought you will be pleading and asking us not to kill you, not to ditch you in this well. He says the reason why I was laughing is all these days I was content and I was happy. And this mindset was someone who has so many strong brothers, he will never suffer. He will never go through any mishap. And he says that I was wrong. I should have said someone who has God as his support, as his Mawla, as his backbone. He is the one who will never have any kind of a mishap. And He is the one who will have that well-being and afiyat. Says, now I came to know this point. Now these brothers, they were killing him. One of them, he said that, don't kill him, just throw him in the well. So at times when there is a major sin and there is a minor sin, going to that minor sin is better than doing the major sin. And first of all, we ask Allah never to test us with such difficult tests. So they heard the other brother's advice and they threw him into the well. Now, someone who has been thrown into the well, he should drown and he should die. And especially when it's a young child. Instead, he gets stuck in the well. Now, there was a caravan that was going to a destination. They get thirsty. They say that we have no water. Let's go and find some water, and they come by the well. They throw the bucket in, and generally when you throw a bucket in the well, it is water that comes out of the well. So here, it isn't water that is coming out of that well in that bucket. It is a beautiful Yusuf who was coming out of the well. Now these people who were destined to a destination, They, when they saw this beautiful child in the well, in that bucket, they said, let's go and sell him, get some money. So they changed their route and they came to this marketplace where the slaves are sold to sell him and then get some money. The king and the queen, who never come to this marketplace, that day they said, let's go have an outing, let's go and see that place. They come here and they see Yusuf and they take him and bring him into their own palace and they raise him. So who made all these arrangements? These asbab, making that caravan thirsty. They want water, they come by the well. Instead of water, this child comes out, and they were destined to another destination. They are brought to this marketplace where the slaves are sold, and then the king and the queen who never come, they come here. Who does that? That is the mighty planner, the existence of the Almighty, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And in this dua of this well-being says, ذَلَّتْ لِقُدْرَتِكَ السَّعَابِ وَتَسَبَّبَتْ بِلُطْفِكَ الْأَسْبَابِ. That is, tasabbabat means, these means, they are formed by your fadl, by your lutf. Lutf means gentleness. That is, that kindness of Allah, He makes all these asbab. Afiyat, well-being also, it's the same. So He has to make all those asbab. And if you remember, I think I did mention in the previous session, that is, Allah, when He wants to provide well-being and keep someone safe, He makes those arrangements. Marhumatullah Bahauddini, he is reporting here that 2 past the midnight, and in those days no one was awake, about 50-60 years ago. Says someone comes and knocks at his house and says that the light upstairs is on, turn it off. Says, why was that person? Some stranger knocking at the door asking me to turn the light off upstairs. And that day he had some guests who had come from far away. They were resting in that room upstairs. He says that I went up to turn the light off and I see a big scorpion going towards those guests. So that was guided, sent by the Almighty to inform this person to turn the light off so that they are safe. Amazing and beautiful arrangements are made by the Almighty, and we are totally unaware. وَتَسَبَّبَتْ بِلُطْفِكَ الْأَسْبَابِ. We find it in this dua for the well-being that Imam Sajjad alayhi salam has mentioned. وَجَرَى بِقُدْرَتِكَ الْقَضَاءِ وَمَضَتْ عَلَى إِرَادَتِكَ الْأَشْيَاءِ. And the decree also goes into effect through your power. It is your might that decrees. And everything that you see happening is according to what the Almighty Allah has desired. Now, it was mentioned the other day that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whenever he used to see these little problems that they used to come in his life, he used to seek refuge in Allah. And seeking refuge in Allah, that is seeking afiyah and well-being in all these mishaps that we have in our life. There are different prescriptions. They are the over-the-counter that have been mentioned. Among them, it's this recitation of Suratul Nas, Suratul Falaq. They help, and they help a lot. One of the ways, if you miss it out, to not forget reciting these surahs is in the 1 rakat Salatul Watr, after your night prayers that you recite 1 Suratul Hamd, 3 times Suratul Ikhlas, 1 Suratul Nas, and times 1 Suratul Falaq. So you've secured and you've vaccinated yourself for the day. That protection that you need is given. Imam Rida alayhi salam, he says that afiyah, it has 10 parts, 10 portions. 9 of them is to be away from the evil lot. So in every community, there are people who are evil, who are bad. Imam says, keep away from them. 9 portions of afiyah and well-being is that you be away from them. One portion is to observe silence and be quiet, and you will be safe. So being away from bad friends, being away from bad association, bad entertainment, bad friends, and everything, or bad environment, bad atmosphere, that is all a protection that we have that brings us towards well-being and afiyat. Or elsewhere in another quote, Amirul Mu'mineen, he says that 9 portions of afiyat are that you control your tongue. Control your tongue. And one part is to be away from people who are insane. So if you have your control under severe surveillance at all times, you will be fine. Because in the community, you do come across people who are insane. They may raise their voices, they may swear at you, they may talk nonsense, and it just brings us out from our own self. There a person erupts and he bursts and he replies, and the reply, if it's negative or evil, it is he who will be suffering. Or samt that we have. Samt means to be quiet. We have a chapter in the books of akhlaq. A lot of emphasis has been mentioned over there on observing silence, on being quiet, not talking a lot, talking only when it is required, or then what is wajib you say, otherwise you're just quiet. And one of the qualities also mentioned for Ahlul Akhirah in the Hadithul Qudsi says Masjunun. Masjunun means they have imprisoned themselves. Not that someone has put them behind bars, they have imprisoned their mouths. Masjunun. They have imprisoned their mouths, from their bellies from fudul al-ta'am, and their mouths from fudul al-kalam. Their bellies from any waste food, and their mouth from waste talk. So that is also one of the reasons, or one of the that will lead us towards afiyat and well-being. So most of these great people that you see, they are always quiet. Rasulullah, he spoke very little. And many a times he never spoke and people, they responded to him. That is one of the mu'jizat of the Prophet, that he used to go and see people. He hasn't said something, but they are answering to what Rasulullah has intended to say. They knew from the looks of the Prophet, the features of the Prophet, and the expressions of the Prophet, what he wants and what he's intending to say. Now here in this dua, ways to get to this well-being. The Prophet, he says that best that God wants you to seek from him is afiyat. Ask for well-being. Amirul Mu'mineen also to Imam Mujtaba alayhi salam says, always recite this dua, La tufarriq bayni wa bayna al-afiyati abadan ma abqaytani. As long as I live, between me and this afiyat, never distance us, never separate us. Now, Abu Zar, he is one of the noble companions of Rasulullah, and he used to visit the Prophet very often. Rasulullah, he had a brother meaning that someone who was nursed by the same lady. Rasulullah, who was nursed by that lady, that person also, he was nursed by the same lady, so he is a half brother of Rasulullah, meaning that his name is Dahiyya. Dahiyya, he was very handsome, very beautiful. And then Rasulullah also, when he sent a delegation to Rome, he sent Dahiyya as the head of the delegation. And Jibreel also, at times when he used to come to Rasulullah, he used to appear in the form of Dahiyya Kalbi. One day Jibreel appeared he came to Rasulullah in the form of Dahiyya, and in Masjid al-Nabi, Abu Zar was passing by. He did not come to the mosque. He said that they are talking, I won't go there to disturb them, I won't greet them, because if you go and greet and then you get a reply back and then you talk to them. He said that they are talking, it may be personal, so I'll just go and come later. He passed away. He went to pass by. Then Jibreel said to the Prophet, I wish Abu Zar had greeted us. I would have replied back to his salam. Because being greeted by someone like Jibreel, who is the chief of all the angels of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, it's an honor, it's a bonus point. And then he says that this Abu Zar of yours, Ya Rasulullah, in the skies, he is remembered a lot amongst the angels for his dua that he has. And then when Jibreel returned and Abu Zar came to Rasulullah, Rasulullah said, why did you not greet us when you were passing by? Do you know who he was? That was Jibreel who had come to see me, and he said that you are famous in the skies for your dua. What dua is that? There Abu Zar says that every morning when I wake up, now it's a small dua, I'll send it to you. Memorize it and also add it to your Qunut programs of every day. It's a small one-line dua. Says every morning when I wake up, I say, Allahumma inni as'aluka al-iman bik. I ask you for iman, O God. Wat tasdeeqa bi nabiyyik, and I ask you that I testify your prophet. Wal afiyata min jami' al-bala, and well-being from every test and trial. I want that. Was shukra ala al-afiyah, and this afiyat that you have given me, the well-being, make it as such that I be able to thank you for that afiyah, well-being. Wal ghina an shirar an-nas, and that you keep me away and distance me from people, the evil lot. So it's a beautiful dua. Allahumma inni as'aluka al-amna wal-iman bik, wat-tasdeeqa bi nabiyyik, والعافية من جميع البلاء والشكر على العافية والغنى عن شرار الناس. Says this is what I ask Allah every day in the morning. Says for that you are famous in the skies, and all the angels they talk about you for this dua of yours. It is beautiful. Now in another dua says, Allahumma inni as'aluka al-afiyata wa tamam al-afiyata wa shukra ala al-afiyah ya wali al-afiyah. It's something similar to what we just recited. Now, among the that what helps us in getting to this afiyah, it is salawat ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Man salla alayya marratan, says whosoever recites one salawat upon me, fatahallahu alayhi baban min al-afiyah, Allah opens a door towards afiyah before him. So salawat also helps in getting to afiyah. There is a hadith from Imam Mujtaba alayhi salam. Imam says that the heart of an individual, it is like a vessel, hook, and this vessel has a lid, and this lid it opens, and every time it opens, the heart it is enlightened. Says every time this moment he recites a salawat, the lid of this heart opens and the heart is enlightened. Says if he doesn't recite salawat upon me and my progeny, this lid it jams, it rusts, and a time comes that it doesn't open anymore, as a result of which the heart is also not enlightened anymore. Imam says recite salawat as much as you can. So these salawats that we recite, they enlighten us, and this hadith also says the same. That man salla alayya marratan, one salawat you recite upon me, Allah opens up a door towards afiyah before you. And afiyat, well-being, it is that blessing which is idha wajadat nasiyat. If someone gets to it, forgets it. And when it is taken away, it is only then a person he remembers. So we have to be thankful to Allah that Allah has given us this afiyah, the well-being in our deen, well-being in our dunya now. When we see that out of these 8 billion people living on this planet Earth, how many are Muslims? How many are the followers of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam? How many believe in Imam Mahdi alayhis salam? Just a very small number. So that requires a lot of thanks that Allah has picked this small number, and among them we have been chosen. That is that afiyat given to us, afiyat in deen. That requires a lot of thanks, a lot of gratitude to the existence of Allah. Says al-afiyatu ashraful libasain. That is the best of the 2 clothings and attires that He has given to you. In another hadith says, Ayyuhan nas salullah al-yaqeen. Ask Allah for yaqeen. Yaqeen means iman. Belief in the one God, belief in the hereafter, belief in the prophethood, that is yaqeen. وَارْغَبُوا إِلَيْهِ فِي الْعَافِيَةِ فَإِنَّ أَجَلَ النِّعْمَ الْعَافِيَةِ. The best of blessings is afiyah. And you also move towards that afiyah. That is, if you have been blessed with this afiyah, it needs to be strengthened. It needs to be polished. And we have to work on this afiyah a lot. Not just the little basics that were taught to us when we were young. We just stick to that. No. As a person grows older, his spirituality also has to increase. His worship has to increase. His servitude has to increase. Du'as have to increase. Prayers have to increase. Everything has to increase. Just like we invest in our material dimensions, more than that has to be invested in the spiritual side of affairs. إن العافية في الدين والدنيا لنعمة جميلة موهبة جزيلة. This afiyah in deen and dunya, it is the most beautiful blessing of Allah, and it is a bestowal which is great that has been given to us by the Almighty Allah. إن أتاكم الله بعافية فاقبلوا وإن ابتليتم فاصبروا فإن العاقبة للمتقين. Says if afiyah comes towards you, greet it, welcome it. وَإِنِ ابْتُلِيتُمْ فَاصْبِرُوا. And if you are going through a tough time, if you are going through trials, فَاصْبِرُوا, be patient. فَإِنَّ الْعَاقِبَةَ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Because the end is the ultimate. It is for the muttaqeen who are the God-wary. In another hadith says that كُلُّ نَعِيمٍ دُونَ الْجَنَّةِ فَهُوَ مَحْقُورٌ وَكُلُّ بَلَاءٍ دُونَ النَّارِ عَافِيَةٌ. Every blessing that you get to without the heaven, that is very little. So whatever we are getting to, may that be in this world, if the heaven is there with it, then that blessing is good. It is worthy. If we are getting something, but then there is no heaven in the hereafter, that is nothing. وَكُلُّ بَلَاءٍ دُونَ النَّارِ عَافِيَةٌ. And every trial without the fire is afiyah. So if a person is going through a tough time, but then there is a fire also in that, there is a Jahannam which will be given to him, that is bad. If he is going through a tough time, but for that patience that he will endure in that test and trial, there is no Jahannam in the Akhirah, that is good. So everything has to be measured in this way, that everything will be measured with Akhirah, because we've been made for the Akhirah. We are moving towards that Akhirah. سمع النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم رجلا يقول اللهم إني أسألك الصبر فقال سألت البلاء فاسأل العافية. Someone was saying that God give me patience. Rasulullah says that are you asking for tests and trials. If a test comes to you, you be patient. Asking for patience before that test, it is inviting bala. So you have to ask for the well-being in all stages, in all phases of our life. And one of the beautiful du'as, which is simple and every one of us knows, is Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhaban nar. So Afiyat, it is beautiful. Afiyat is one of those du'as that we ask the Almighty Allah for. Allahumma inni as'aluka al-afiyah wa as'aluka jameel al-afiyah wa as'aluka shukr al-afiyah wa as'aluka shukr al-afiyah. This is the dua of Imam Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam, that Allah, I ask you for well-being, and I ask you for a beautiful well-being, and I ask you that you give me thanks for the well-being. And again Imam repeats the same, that gratitude and thanks be given to me for the well-being that is being given to me. So all these du'as that we have from Ma'asumeen alayhimus salam for the well-being and for the afiyah, and afiyat also, it was mentioned that it is not only health, that is one side and one dimension. So when you ask for well-being in all angles, in all dimensions, in this world, in the akhirah, in barzakh, there we need afiyah. Or in the easiest description, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana, Allah, give us good in this dunya, wa fil akhirati hasana, and give us hasana, good in the akhirah. And Marhum Imam Khomeini rahmatullah alayhi says that hasana over here means Fatima, that Allah give us Fatima in this dunya and Fatima in the akhirah. And if someone has been blessed with Hazrat Fatima alayha salam in this world and in the hereafter, his is that achievement, his is all the success that he has to get to, and that is that well-being that we talked about. May Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala help us understand these glorious teachings and sayings of Ma'asumeen alayhimus salam, and this well-being that we talked about be given to every one of us, well-being of this world, well-being of barzakh, well-being of qiyamah, and all those who have passed away, Allah, elevate their ranks and grant them with the afiyah. Those who are ill and ailing, Allah, grant them shifa and bless them with afiyah. Our children, Ya Allah, to be enlisted among the best of the servants of Imam al-Asr alayhi salam and be blessed with afiyah. And عجل في فرج مولانا صاحب الزمان. اللهم صل